Organisational guidelines exist to ensure all staff carry out work in the same way and to the same standard. Customers expect a certain level of customer service from an organisation. If they have previously used the organisation or if they've heard about it from others, they will have a very definite expectation. If staff do not follow organisational guidelines, they could get things wrong and disappoint both the customer and the organisation. Not following organisational guidelines can mean that you get things wrong. It can cause mistakes that cost money. It can cause the organisation to break the law. It can cause problems for the others you work with and result in the loss of custom. Organisational guidelines come in a number of forms. They can be organisational policies or procedures, work instructions, or scripts. Organisations will often have formal policies and procedures. These will relate to the following: roles and responsibilities showing the limits of your responsibility. These will show you what you have to do and what you're responsible for. It may also show you when you have to refer to others. Service offer. This will give guidelines of the level of service that needs to be offered to customers. It is likely to state what can be done and what can't. Handling of customer issues. These will be guidelines, for example, how to deal with refunds or complaints. When dealing with customer issues or requests, keeping in touch with them is vital. Customers who ask for information expect a response. If you can't respond immediately, tell them when you will contact them. Always respond to the customer when you have agreed. Failing to do so can frustrate them and make them angry. It can often turn a query into a complaint, and there is then the possibility that the customer will be lost. Even if you don't have an answer for the customer, still make contact, even if it is to say you don't have an answer. That way, at least the customer knows what is happening and they will feel more valued. After dealing with the customer, it is important to confirm that their expectations have been met and not just assume that they have been. Without realizing it, there could be misunderstandings, and while you may think customer expectations have been met, they may not have been. It is important to check with customers that you have fully understood what they want and get them to agree and confirm your understanding. You should state what you think is your understanding and ask them if this is correct. It is important to ask probing questions to get the answers, and then closed ones to ensure your understanding is accurate. If you fail to confirm, you may lose the customer. Confirming takes no time, but can win and keep a customer. As well as their own organisational policies, organisations have certain laws that they must comply with. The legislation that organisations must consider will vary according to the industry. However, generally, the main legislation all organisations will need to comply with are the Health and Safety Act, the Equality Act, and the Data Protection Act. Under the Health and Safety at Work Act, the employer has a duty to ensure the employee's safety, health, and welfare at work as far as is reasonably practicable. In order to prevent workplace injuries and ill health, the employer is required, among other things, to provide and maintain a safe workplace which uses safe equipment, prevent risks from use of any article or substance, and from exposure to physical agents, noise, and vibration. Employers also have a responsibility to prevent any improper conduct or behaviour likely to put the safety, health, and welfare of employees at risk. They must provide instruction and training to employees on health and safety, provide protective clothing and equipment to employees, and appoint a competent person as the organisation's safety officer. As an employee, you will also have duties under the Health and Safety at Work Act. It is your responsibility to take reasonable care to protect the health and safety of yourself and of others in the workplace. You must not engage in improper behaviour that will endanger yourself or others. You must not be under the influence of drink or drugs in the workplace. You must undergo any reasonable medical or other assessment if requested to do so by the employer, and you must report any defects in the place of work or equipment which might be a danger to health and safety. The Equality Act became law in October 2010. It replaces previous legislation such as the Race Relations Act of 1976 and the Disability Discrimination Act of 1995, and ensures consistency in what you need to do to make sure your workplace is a fair environment and to comply with the law. The 9 protected characteristics of the Equality Law are age and sex, disability, gender reassignment and sexual orientation, marriage and civil partnership, pregnancy and maternity, race, religion or belief. The Data Protection Act consists of 8 key principles. Data must be collected and used fairly and inside the law. Data must only be held and used for the reasons given to the Information Commissioner. Data can only be used for those registered purposes and only be disclosed to those people mentioned. You cannot give it away or sell it unless you said you would to begin with. The information held must be adequate, relevant, and not excessive. Data must be accurate and kept up to date. There is a duty to keep it up to date, for example to change an address when people move. Data must not be kept longer than is necessary for the registered purpose. It is alright to keep information for certain lengths of time, but not indefinitely. This rule means that it would be wrong to keep information about past customers longer than a few years. The information must be kept safe and secure. This includes keeping the information backed up and away from any unauthorized access. The files may not be transferred outside of the European Economic Area, unless the country that the data is being sent to has a suitable data protection law. This part of the DPA has led to some countries passing similar laws to allow computer data centers to be located in their area.